Hello everyone, welcome to Losi Motorsports. So, as you might have remembered, we talked about the Saber Design kit on the blue car. So that's what it actually looks like when it's completed. What we're working on right now is to show you guys what it actually looks like when we're actually putting it together. So in the last video, Don ended up talking about the side splitter, and here it is right now in more detail about how it's actually mounted. So you can see here, in our case, we ended up using the Veris side splitter that we just happened to have. You can use anything, as he had mentioned, in regards to either using plywood or anything that you can find to try and support this carbon fiber piece that we then mounted on top of that. So it's just how we did it. There's many other ways that you can try and do this, but in our case, this is what worked for us.
So part of the installation here, in terms of alignment, is when you put the rear fender in, it has a certain width, and you want this to actually match with that width, essentially. And so also in the front, we put the front fender on, and as well as the carbon fiber piece that goes in the front. Which goes here, essentially. And so when you put the fender on, it sits on top of this, which then bolts here. So you want this front edge, these edges, to match up. And then when you look down the entire length of the car, the width of the front fender would actually be with this. It would finish right there, and on the rear it would finish at the same width over here. You can see the example on the blue car. You'll see that the front edge, if you were to look at it, matches up with the rear edge here, and that matches up down here as well as in front. So the key to the installation of the kit really kind of lies in ensuring that the side splitter is installed in the right location, so that then you can use that as a gauge for finishing your fender installations. And you'll also notice that, you know, when you're done, that is very much aligned with the front splitter as well, so that everything has one line. You don't want any turbulence by having the wheels exposed and coming out. So, you know, this finish is very, very important.
So now, one of the second things that we sort of started working on right now is, you'll notice at the beginning, first videos, we talked about the front bumper being different. When you have the Saber Design, it's actually just required to have a GR86 bumper because it's actually a GR86 kit. In our case, we end up having a BRZ. The big difference between the BRZ and the GR86 is the front bumper. So in our case, we ended up putting this GR86. Part of that GR86, there's two pieces that come with the original bumper, and it's this right here. These are the original bottom pieces that are onto that front bumper. So we need to do some changes to it in order to be able to support the lip as well as the splitter.
Yeah, the air dam actually fits in this location. You know, it'll start on this end, it'll fit underneath, and you know, it'll fit into here. And in order to support that, you know, this is very soft plastic underneath here. So what we do is we install this piece from the old bumper in there, and we put some riv nuts in various locations so that we can, you know, kind of clamp the two pieces together properly, as well as sandwich both the air dam and the front splitter. So these riv nuts actually have to be fairly secure because this is, you know, it's plastic. And what we did is we actually epoxied in behind here. These are the riv nuts that we utilized. They're, you know, They're the ones that actually split a little bit like an anchor that you'd use on a drywall. And so when you put them in and then you squeeze it, it mushrooms out in four legs. That allows us to put epoxy in here. Best to be okay to be able to use it after. Put a piece of tape on this end, put a piece of tape on this end, then you do your epoxy fill, and you can do anything other than epoxy fill if you so desire. Nonetheless, once that's done, this is in, it's going to be nice and solid. And then you'll be able to fasten and have a little bit more rigidity in the front because of all the plastic parts. You'll be able to mount your dam and then the splitter underneath that. The splitter itself has, we'll talk in a little bit more detail because it will be mounted, there's this additional piece. So when we do the splitter installation, we'll cover that in a lot more detail essentially. But just so as a heads up, this piece is going to go underneath here, provide some rigidity so that, there's no movement of those plastic parts while we're doing the build.